Today let us take up judicial remedies or constitutional remedies in administrative law. Administrative law is the law on administration. How, what are the powers of administrative authorities and whether they flout the norms, administrative norms, then the judiciary is coming to the rescue of the public or the people who are dealing with administration. This is called administrative law. So the administrative law is the law on administration, and in that we see the judicial remedies. Actually, this is otherwise called the writ remedy under Article 32 and 226. A writ means the court order. Only the important thing in this judicial remedies, only the citizens can avail these judicial remedies. The foreigners cannot avail this judicial remedy. Only the Indian citizens can avail this judicial remedy. So this has come to the rescue of the citizens, and when some of the when their fundamental rights are flouted, or when the fundamental rights are infringed, they can avail this judicial remedies. Judicial remedies can be availed only by the citizens of India under the fundamental rights. So this is to instill or to register the rights and remedy of the citizens. The rights and remedy is as like that of the same coin. Whenever there is right, there is a remedy. That is, in other ways, it is called ibi jus ibi remedium. Where there is right, there is remedy. Based on the ibi jus ibi remedium, the judicial remedies have come to stay, and this writ can be availed only by the public with the government agencies, or the direct government or public corporations, panchayat, municipality, LIC, Reserve Bank of India, and these are all the things we can, the writs can be formed against the government, the panchayat board, public corporations, LIC, RBI, and election commissions. These are all the certain things which the writ can be formed. The writ means court order. Court order can be evoked by the public when their fundamental rights are infringed. So this writ is available only to the public, that too against the government agencies. It is not with the private. That is one thing. And whether the delay can be allowed or not, the delay can be allowed in claiming the judicial remedies. If at all, if it is within reasonable period, then it is allowed. That is delay in claiming the judicial remedies. Remedies means the some of the resolvement that we can get the benefit out of that. That is called remedies. So there are totally 5 remedies are available. Those remedies are called writ of habeas corpus, writ of mandamus, and then writ of certiorari, writ of prohibition, and the last one is writ of quo warranto. So we will see the one by one. Writ of habeas corpus. So whenever the fundamental rights of the citizens, that is, and from the Article 12 to 35 is infringed, or that fundamental rights are snatched away from the citizens, then they can go for this writs. That is court order. We can seek the court order to refrain from the infringement of fundamental rights or to do justice. As regards writ of habeas corpus, writ of habeas corpus means, writ means order, habeas corpus means produce the body. In this, so this writ has been mainly claimed with the court to restrict the administrative authorities from unnecessary detention or from brutal treatment of the administrative authorities. For these two reasons, the habeas corpus writ can be claimed. So they sometimes what they do in the name of the enquiry and other thing, the police may take the people to the police station for enquiry and other things, and from there they have to produce the suspect or accused to the judge within 24 hours, and according to the direction they have to act. Sometimes what happens, it leads to unnecessary detention, or sometimes what happens, even after detention in the custody, judicial custody, some brutality is also done on the accused. So to prevent this, the writ of habeas corpus is made. Who can make this writ? The accused, the suspected accused, or the guilty, or the wife, the relative, or some of the people who are well known to him can form this writ. They can ask the court to give a writ to the concerned authorities to produce the body, that is to produce the person in the court, because it may be whereabout is not known of the person, or sometimes some brutality is done on the accused, guilty. So to avoid that, this writ is sought from the court, and the court will also issue to the police authorities to produce the body. That is called writ of habeas corpus. The case study is Sunil Batra versus Delhi administration and Veena Sethi versus state of Bihar. In the this Veena Sethi versus state of Bihar, in this case, what happened at the time of the ordering of detention, they were insane, and subsequently they became sane. Even after the claim of releasing the persons, it was not done so, but after ordering, they have released all the persons. That is Veena Sethi versus state of Bihar. And another case study is Sunil Batra versus Delhi administration. This is with regard to the in this Sunil Batra versus Delhi administration. Actually, the Justice Krishna here, what he ordered, there should not be any brutality in the police in the judicial custody. They should be treated humanly, and unnecessary brutality should not be there. That is the Krishna here ordered. That is Sunil Batra versus Delhi administration. This is with regard to the, and another thing what has to be done in this case, in the while seeking the writ of habeas corpus, we have to give the affidavit stating that some injustice has been done, unnecessary detention has been done, like that an affidavit has to be given in case of writ of habeas corpus. That is another thing, another important thing. This is with regard to the writ of habeas corpus means produce the body whenever there is illegal detention, or when some cruelty is done on the accused during detention, this writ of habeas corpus can be sought. Then second thing, the second writ against judicial remedy is writ of mandamus. Writ of mandamus is to command. In this writ of mandamus, two things are important. One thing is the right and duty. Usually the right and duty is said to be that is if the right is there, then there will be duty, then the duty is there, then will be right. These two things are correlative, it is inseparable. Like that here also, when the right is infringed, then one can seek the writ of mandamus. Like that the legal duty is on the authority. The authority, whenever we seek the writ of mandamus with the authority, they should have the legal duty. Then only this writ can be sought from the court. And another thing, the duty to be owed by the government authority should be statutory. That duty must be statutory. These things are to be complied. When these things are complied, we can go for writ of mandamus. One thing is that usually the right and duty are correlative. Whenever the right of the individual is infringed, then he can seek this writ. And another thing, the legal duty is on the authority. And the third thing is, duty must be statutory. When these things are available, then they can go for this duty, the writ of mandamus. The case study in this, the very famous case, Kanchi Sankaracharya case, in that what appears to be to the public, that the police as if the police ordered the seizing of account and everything. It is not so. The court only ordered the seizing of accounts since he was entangled in a criminal case. That is with regard to the Kanchi Sankaracharya case. And another thing, now we will be move on to the third writ, is called writ of certiorari, or to be certified. Usually this writ of certiorari is given to the lower court by the higher court when there is excess jurisdiction and when there is no jurisdiction. That is, two things are very important. One thing, the lower court is exceeding their limit. It is not their jurisdiction. When this writ can be sought. And even sometimes there may not be without jurisdiction at all. They don't have the right to take up that case, but they are taking the case. That is also without jurisdiction. And error, sometimes the error is apparent on the face of the record itself. Even on the face of the record, there may be some error, and that should not have been taken by the court, but they have taken. Then we can see the writ of certiorari. And when there is violation of natural justice, then also this writ can be sought. And another thing, infringement of fundamental rights. For these things, the writ of certiorari can be sought from the court. The court can give, the high court can give to the lower court to make the verdict as null and void, because it is not with the jurisdiction or excess jurisdiction or even without jurisdiction. That is called writ of certiorari. The famous case is Hari Vishnu versus Ahmad Ishaq during 1954. It is an election case. The election tribunal ordered the election as valid, but subsequently the court ordered that the election is null and void because some the malpractices have been observed by the court. That's why it ordered the election as null and void. So when there is this is with excess jurisdiction or without jurisdiction, that's why the writ of certiorari was ordered. That is to be certified. The meaning is, certiorari means to be certified, whether the case is with jurisdiction or not, and is whether it is without jurisdiction or with jurisdiction. These things to be certified. when the jurisdiction is not there, naturally the writ of certiorari can be sought with the court, and the court can issue the writ of certiorari. And the another thing, now we will move on to the writ of prohibition. This is also similar to the writ of certiorari, but in the main thing is in writ of certiorari, the verdict is made as null and void because of excess or without jurisdiction. But in the case of prohibition, it is the higher court, Supreme Court or High Court, ordered the lower court to prohibit the proceedings because it is also without jurisdiction or excess jurisdiction. For example, it is called judicial writ, and what is the High Court or Supreme Court can prevent it from usurping of justice, usurping of jurisdiction. That is, the jurisdiction, when the jurisdiction is usurped, then the writ of prohibition can be sought with the court. The court also can give the writ of prohibition so that it prohibit or it stops the further proceedings. So that is the writ of prohibition. The case is Narayana Chetty Nellur versus income tax officer, that is doing 1959. The case is 1959. Actually, what happened in this case? The Narayana Chetty and the other Nellur, they have started a company, and they have changed the company so many times in their name and other names, but the company existed. But what is the income tax authority? Their company was not existing, and so that they wanted to snatch away the company certificate, and then the even notice have not been issued. But it was contended that the notice is a must. When the notice is not given, naturally the further proceedings cannot be taken up. So without notice, the action initiated by the income tax officer is made as null and void. That is with regard to the writ of prohibition. And the last one is quo warranto. Quo warranto means what is the authority. Usually this quo warranty is made on the public office, the person who hold the public office, or the incumbent who hold the public office. That is, sometimes what happens to the some top post, what they do, they appoint the persons, but the appointment of the person is at posting, and naturally they have to issue the writ of quo warranto to ask the person under what authority are holding the office. So that is called quo warranto. The important thing, ingredients in this quo warranto, the office should be public office. It should not be private office. And so the third thing is, it should be an independent office, and must be statutory or constitutional authority. The person who holds the post should be statutory authority or constitutional authority. When such of the things are ingredients are complied, then the quo warranto can be issued. Usually, what happens in these cases? The juniors may occupy the seat when there may be senior, or the junior may not be the competitive man, or he is not the fittest person to hold the office. So, say for example, Vice Chancellor of University, some juniors may be posted in the place of seniors by overlooking the seniors. In such of the cases, the fittest person may seek the writ of quo warranto, basing on what is the authority you are holding the office. Because when you are not having the competency to hold the post, then the quo warranto can be issued. The case study is University of Mysore versus Govinda, 1965. What happened in this case? To call upon the Annaya Gowda to show the authority. He was the Annaya Gowda was appointed as the research reader in Central College, Bangalore. Actually, in English department, he is the research reader in English department in Central College, Bangalore. The Annaya Gowda was appointed as reader, but this was since he may be junior or he is not fit for that post, maybe fit for that post. That's why this Q-Warranto was sought by the Govinda. So this is University of Mysore versus Govinda. The Govinda initiated the Q-Warranto and the court issued the Q-Warranto because the said person as Annaya Gowda has to show the authority as a research reader, how he can hold the office, what is the authority, because he may be junior or he may not be the fittest person for the post. That's why the Govinda sought this Q-Warranto and the Q-Warranto was also issued. This is with regard to the Q-Warranto. So these 5 remedies can be initiated when there is when the administrative authorities omit the certain things, or when they are not doing the certain things which they ought to do. For that things this writ can be issued. Particularly this writ can be issued for the establishment of fundamental rights, particularly Article 12 to 35. Under Article 32, and another thing also, some issues will be evolved in this. Under Article 32, one has to approach the Supreme Court for the establishment of fundamental rights. And for another things, for the fundamental rights, one can approach the High Court. Even for other remedies also, one can approach the High Court under Article 226. But the specific fundamental rights, infringement of fundamental rights, one has to approach Supreme Court under Article 32. And then the court will see whether any other remedy is available than this writs. Then they will direct the individual to go for that route, not to approach Supreme Court or High Court under Article 32 and 226. It may be by another article or by another statutory order. This is with regard to the judicial remedies. Apart from this, some other remedies are also available, that is called statutory remedies. So some of the, for example, the statutory authorities, that is the the Human Rights Commission. These people are called statutory authorities. So what are the order given by the statutory authorities? It holds good. That is with regard to statutory authorities. But we can approach even the statutory authorities for infringement of some rights. Like that, constitutional authorities are also there. Election Commission of India and some tribunals are also there. These are all called constitutional authorities. So one can approach the constitutional authorities for infringement of certain rights. That is the other rights on the other remedies are available to the citizens in administrative law. In Tamil, judicial remedy என்பது ஒருவருக்கு அடிப்படை சுதந்திரம் கிடைக்காத போது ஆர்டிகிள் 12 35 வரையுடைய ஃபண்டமெண்டல் ரைட்ஸ் மீறப்படும் பொழுது அவர்கள் ஆர்டிகிள் 32 மூலமாக உச்ச நீதிமன்றத்தையும் 226 மூலமாக ஆர்டிகிள் 229 மூலமாக உயர்நீதிமன்றத்தையும் நாடலாம். இது குறிப்பாக ஃபண்டமெண்டல் ரைட்ஸ் அடிப்படை உரிமை மீறப்படும் பொழுது இந்த வழக்கு தொடரப்படலாம். இதற்கு ரிட் என்று பெயர். ரிட் என்றால் கோர்ட் ஆர்டர் என்று பெயர். ரிட் ஆஃப் ஹேபியஸ் கார்பஸ் ஒருவரை கோர்ட்டில் ஆஜர்படுத்துவது, அவரை அவர் எங்கு சென்றார் என்னவென்றால் தெரியாது இருக்கும்பொழுது ரிட் ஆஃப் ஹேபியஸ் கார்பஸ் கேட்கப்படுகிறது. ரிட் ஆஃப் மேண்டமஸ் என்பது ஒரு கோர்ட்டானது ஒரு ஆர்டரை கொடுக்கும்போது கமாண்ட், இட் இஸ் எ கமாண்ட். உதாரணத்திற்கு ஒருவருடைய ரைட் இன்ஃப்ரிஞ்ச்மெண்ட், ஒருவருடைய உரிமை மீறப்படும் பொழுதோ அல்லது கடமை லீகல் டியூட்டி ஒருவருக்கு இருக்கும் பொழுது அவர்கள் அந்த கடமை உரிமை மீறப்பட்டால் இந்த ஆர்டரை வழங்கலாம், ரிட் ஆஃப் மேண்டமஸ் வழங்கலாம். அதே போல் ரிட் ஆஃப் செர்டோரியரி என்பது டு பி சர்டிஃபைட். ஒரு லோயர் கோர்ட்டு அதற்கு அது அந்த எல்லை இருக்காது. ஆனாலும் அவர்கள் அந்த கேஸ் எடுத்து நடத்துவார்கள். அல்லது அவர்களுக்கு அந்த அதிகாரமே இருக்காது, ஆனாலும் அவர்கள் வழக்கு விசாரித்து கொண்டிருப்பார்கள். அவ்வாறு இருக்கும்போது லோயர் கோர்ட்டிற்கு சென்று கொண்டிருக்கும்போது அதனை அந்த ஆர்டரை, அந்த தீர்மானத்தை, தட் இஸ் வெர்டிக்டை நில்லாக, அதாவது சரியில்லை என்று சொல்வதற்கு சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட்டோ ஹைகோர்ட்டோ கட்டளையிடும். அதற்கு ரிட் ஆஃப் செர்டோரியரி என்று பெயர். அதே போல் ரிட் ஆஃப் ப்ரொஹிபிஷன் என்பது இடையிலேயே நிறுத்தப்படுவது. ஜுடிஷியல் அத்தாரிட்டி, குவாசி ஜுடிஷியல் அத்தாரிட்டி, அதாவது நீதிமன்றமோ அல்லது குவாசி ஜுடிஷியல் அத்தாரிட்டி என்பது அதாவது பாதி அவர்களுக்கு கோர்ட் அதிகாரமும் பாதி அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ் அதிகாரம் இருக்கிறார்கள். குவாசி ஜுடிஷியல் அத்தாரிட்டிஸ் என்று பெயர். அவர்களிடமும் அந்த ஜுரிடிக்ஷனை மீறி போனார்கள் என்றால் அதனை தடை செய்ய இது கோர்ட்டுக்கு அதிகாரம் உண்டு. அதுக்கு ரிட் ஆஃப் ப்ரொஹிபிஷன் என்று பேர். கடைசியாக கோரண்ட் என்றால் பொதுவாக ஒரு பப்ளிக் ஒரு ஆஃபீஸை ஒருவர் டாப் போஸ்ட்டை பிடித்திருக்கும் பொழுது அது எந்த அதிகாரத்தின் கீழ் அதை வைத்திருக்கிறார், அவருக்கு தகுதி இருக்கிறதா என்று கேட்பதற்காக இந்த வாரண்டை இஷ்யூ செய்யப்படுகிறது. உதாரணத்திற்கு ஒரு வைஸ் சான்சலர் இருக்கிறார், அவர் அப்பாயின்மெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கிறார்கள். அவர் அதுக்கு தகுதி இல்லை என்று யாராவது நினைத்து வழக்கு தொடுத்தால் இந்த கியூ வாரண்டோ இஷ்யூ செய்து தீர்மானிப்பார்கள். இவ்வாறாக ஜுடிஷியல் ரெமெடி முடிவடைகிறது. இது அல்லாமல் சம் ஸ்டாச்சுட்டரி அத்தாரிட்டிஸ் இருக்கிறார்கள், கான்ஸ்டியூஷனல் அத்தாரிட்டிஸ் இருக்கிறார்கள். அவர்கள் மூலமாகவும் நாம் சில உரிமைகளை பெற முடியும் என்று இந்த அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ் லா கூறுகிறது. With this we conclude this topic.